So it's the election tomorrow. Tomorrow, people will go to the polls to decide who is going to be the next Prime Minister. And of course, it will be Keir Starmer. The Labour Party are going to win the next election. If you've tuned into my channel, or you've followed my channel, or you're just reading it for the first time, most people will know I am a progressive. I am a leftist. I am on the left of politics. And this is my plea to other progressive and left-leaning people to not vote for the Labour Party. I'll be voting for the Green Party, but this video specifically is why you should not vote for the Labour Party. You should not vote for Keir Starmer. He is going to win the election with right-wingers voting for his right-wing platform. He does not need our votes. We need to show the Labour Party they cannot rely on progressive people's votes for a platform that is in no way progressive. Not only is their platform not progressive, but Keir Starmer himself, as a politician, and the people in his shadow cabinet are not fit to lead this country. He is not fit to be Prime Minister. What I'm going to do in this video is try and explain to you exactly why Keir Starmer is not fit to be Prime Minister. The first thing that we have to talk about with Keir Starmer is that he lies. He lies constantly. He lies maliciously with complete impunity. He had 10 pledges and he broke all of them. He lies about everything he believes in and he supports. He lied about trying to unify the Labour Party, and he kicked out everybody who disagreed. He even told people he would end the factional war and try and unite the party. That was a lie. He said he wouldn't impose candidates from the NEC. That was a total lie as well. When it comes to the pledges, they've all been scrapped. They were all lies as well. Nationalising mail, energy and water. Getting rid of tuition fees, freedom of movement as we leave the European Union, increasing the taxes on the top 5% of earners, abolishing the House of Lords. Pledge after pledge after pledge has been laid by the wayside, all gone on the cutting room floor, and there's nothing left. It was all a pack of lies and a deliberate set of lies to hoodwink the Labour membership into voting for him so he could then purge them afterwards. There were nothing but lies. Don't try and tell me there's about the changing economic situation. There's no reason why the economy is in such a way that we can't increase taxes on the rich. But there was another promise that he deliberately broke, because the man is a liar, and you should not trust him, and that fact alone should be enough to think him unfit to be Prime Minister. That fact alone should make him unfit to be Prime Minister. We just ejected Boris Johnson for being a serial liar, for being a compulsive liar. He wasn't fit for office because he lied with complete impunity. Why should anything be different because of Keir Starmer? Keir Starmer is a conservative. He admits it as such. He said he was proud to be called a conservative, and that if people called him one, he didn't care. He said that Labour Party represented true conservatism that the Conservative Party has abandoned. People like Anna Soubry have described the Labour Party as adopting her one-nation conservative values. He has turned the Labour Party into a right-wing, monetarist, authoritarian, transphobic and racist party of capital. And what is part of that is they are promising 5 more years of austerity, privatisation and policy for big business. They have promised to increase levels of privatisation in our NHS by selling bits off and having more money being pumped into private provision of healthcare, allowing BlackRock to control our infrastructure with more PFI deals, PFI 2.0, on far more steroids that Blair ever did on. He's taking bungs from the super rich personally, and he is not raising any of their taxes. No wealth taxes, increasing capital gains tax, nothing like that is in the manifesto. So you should not vote for it. They have become the party of capital. They've embedded their cabinet and their PPCs with lobbyists for private water, private equity, private finance, all number of think tanks and people with links to dark money. They have happily gotten businesses round the table to set policy. They described when they went to the banks saying that our manifesto has your fingerprints all over it. Rachel Reeves supported the Edinburgh reforms that cut liquidity requirements for private insurers by up to 60%, allowing them to gamble further with our money and lose at a time at which the need for insurance is much higher because of the greater risk of natural disaster. That is because they have links to so many people who are representing capital rather than representing Labour. Labour are an anti-trans party. Labour are explicitly transphobic party. What they are offering is a Section 28 on trans people. Keir Starmer said he wanted to not have gender ideology taught in schools. They are making it harder for people to transition. They are also, on top of that, wanting to make it harder for people to get a gender recognition certificate by increasing the time that you need to have gone through after applying for one for it to be able to go through. They have also kept transphobic people within their party, continually referring to them as people who are important members of the party. They have said transphobic things on camera. Wes Streeting has done that, gone off to Julie Hartley-Brewer and people from the Sun saying that he doesn't think trans women are women. And that's the person going to be in charge of trans people's healthcare. If you value the transgender community, if you value the LGBT community at large, you should not vote for for the Labour Party. The Labour Party is an institutionally racist party. They purge candidates that speak up about racism, like Faiza Shaheen. They get rid of Jewish members from the party who say things that are outside of their line on the Israel-Palestine conflict. They threatened to gag Martin Ford, who was a lawyer who they hired to investigate what was going on with racism internally within the party. They threatened to gag him because he was too critical about how they dealt with Islamophobia and anti-black racism within the Labour Party. If you care about minority communities in this country, you should not vote for the Labour Party. Labour are internally corrupt. Labour himself and his leadership team, Labour Together, are funded by investment bankers, hedge funders, and lobbyists for foreign countries. Their donations have breached the Electoral Commission's laws on private donations. Starmer himself has accepted more private gifts than any Labour leader in decades. Rachel Reeves took a donation from a climate denier the week before they scrapped their pledge to investigate 28 billion in green power. And on top of that, they are happy to have people like PricewaterhouseCoopers and private consultancies stuff their offices for free, which again means they are getting return on investment from that extra money that's been pumped in and from those free secondments they've gotten from people like PricewaterhouseCoopers. Starmer said, and I quote, that Israel has that right to restrict water, food and fuel to the Palestinians in Gaza. He did this 3 times and even sent out Emily Thornberry to repeat it again on Newsnight before U-turning. He whipped Labour MPs to oppose a vote on a ceasefire in Parliament. He reportedly nobbled Lindsay Hoyle in the back, the Speaker himself, into being able to kneecap the SNP tabled ceasefire motion. This man has betrayed the Labour Party's commitment to Palestine. And any amount of U-turning he does now that he's seen Muslim communities and communities that care about the issues in Palestine, that is done in bad faith to try and win these people back. Not his genuine position was the one that he took initially after what happened in October. And he rejected a ceasefire for months and months and months and months and months until he realised there was political capital in assessing to one. If you care about Palestine, you should not vote Labour. Labour will open the door to NHS privatisation. Shadow Health Secretary Wes Streeting promised to go further than Tony Blair in letting the private sector into the NHS. They have the same NHS plans essentially as Reform UK, which is to spend public money trying to say that they will use the private sector to bring down waiting lists when there is no extra spare private sector capacity in this country. There is no spare private sector capacity because it's all NHS staff doing overtime in the private sector. It is all NHS facilities being used by the private sector. There is very, very little extra spare private sector capacity. When Streeting tells you that there is, this is not true. Wes Streeting himself has received hundreds of thousands of pounds in donations with people with links to private healthcare investments. They're even running a private healthcare multi-millionaire in Islington North against Jeremy Corbyn. If you care about the NHS, you should not vote Labour. Labour has betrayed young people by scrapping climate commitments, such as their green investment plans, U-turning on the licensing for the Rosebank oil field, and lying about their plans for a publicly owned energy company when GB Energy is just an investment fund to de-risk money in the private sector. They have happily had climate deniers in lists of candidates for MPs for the next election. If you care about the climate, do not vote for the Labour Party. Labour has abandoned the trade unions by banning MPs from showing solidarity on picket lines. Sam Tarry got sacked for this, by the way, by watering down their workers' rights plans after being lobbied by the businesses and specifically the head of the CBI, whilst having a policy researcher for the CBI as an MP Keir Mather that is. They have also refused to back junior doctors' pay restoration and have undermined the rail strikes. If you care about the trade union movement, you should not vote for the Labour Party. Labour will not lift the 2-child benefit cap, keeping 500,000 children in poverty. This will keep the scandal of universal credit and will the Tories' vile sanctions regime. They will also keep the lifting of the cap on bankers' bonuses. Labour is for bankers, unfortunately, but not for children. If you care about child poverty, you should not vote for the Labour Party. Labour are happy to have multiple Tory MPs in their ranks. One of them described Labour as a bunch of C-words and went after that and has also joined plenty of other. They are all welcome in Starmer's Labour Party, yet Jeremy Corbyn is not. Labour are still seeking advice from Peter Mandelson as well, by the way, so that probably doesn't need much explanation. Starmer was a member of the Trilateral Commission. He has friends in the Britain America Project. The CPS destroyed his records of meeting with the United States around the extradition of Julian Assange. As DPP, he got people deported for stealing ice cream. He's nasty, he's vindictive, and he's an authoritarian who is in the pockets of the powerful. The Labour Party are now funded by billionaires rather than normal people. The trade unions have had to drop funding due to their internal betrayals. Hundreds of thousands of members have left or have been kicked out. Do you think these billionaires are now donating to the Labour Party for nothing, or are they expecting return on investment? If you value democratic politics and democratic participation and people-powered politics, you should not vote for the Labour Party. Keir Starmer betrayed the people of Liverpool by writing in The Sun. He is endorsed by the Murdoch-backed Times. He is also backed by the right-wing Economist magazine, as well as the Financial Times. If you value the people of Liverpool and Merseyside and justice for the 97, you should not vote for the Labour Party. Tomorrow, the Tories will be toast. Labour are 20 points ahead in the polls, and they are definitely going to win the election. Do you really need to abandon all of the things that you believe in just to replace the Tories with Tories in red ties? They don't need your vote to gain a huge majority, and if you do vote for them to gain a huge majority whilst rejecting all of those principles, you will give them an even bigger mandate to carry out their right-wing platform that you and I both don't support based on all of the things I've listed out today. There is no reason to give them that continual mandate, to let them know they can do whatever they want by moving to the right and still rely on your vote. Luckily for all of us though, hope has a new home. Hope has a new home today, chat. The Green Party have pledges to tax the rich, to treat migrants and trans people with respect, to invest in people and planet, to protect the NHS from privatization, and to put more money into it by taking the taxes from the rich and putting it into new capacity and better wages for doctors. They will take control of our water industry, end the scandal of sewage dumping by bringing the water back into public control. Better wages, better trade union rights, funding for cooperative ownership and community wealth building, and ending of arms sales to Israel, and indeed holding Israeli politicians to account with sanctions. It is a party funded by people, not profit, by being properly member-led and democratically driven. Now that is real hope and real change. If you, like me, are a progressive who wants progressive policy, who wants to help the poorest in society, be a force for international peace and justice, please back me by joining and voting for the Green Party in the election tomorrow. A massive majority, a huge majority, will not make Labour any less sheepish. The Green Party MPs, how many that we get, hopefully as much as 4, they will be there to hold Labour to account in Parliament. Who else do you want holding them to account? Reform UK, the Conservative Party? Only the Green Party can hold Labour to account from the left. So if you want to see that in Parliament, you have to vote for it. So please vote Green on July the 4th, and we can build a future with real hope and real change.